623, 21 November 2002. This is sort of odds and ends news part 2. Well, part 1, I guess, because the other one for today was primarily Black Rifle Coffee Company centered. So, leftists suggest re-education camps and firing squads and banning talk radio to deprogram 75 million Trump supporters. Leftists responded to a Twitter thread asking, how do you deprogram 75 million people? By suggesting Trump supporters should be interned in re-education camps and that all conservative talk radio should be banned. Quote, no, seriously, how do you reprogram 75 million people? Where do you start? Fox? Fox, that's funny now. Facebook? That's even better. Ask David Atkins, pronouns in bio, a regional director of California Democrats. We have to start thinking in terms of post-World War II Germany or Japan, or the failures of Reconstruction in the South, he added. Atkins went on to frame Trump supporters as a conspiracy theory-fueled belligerent death cult against reality and basic decency before issuing a veiled threat by stating, quote, people are going to try to figure out how to defend themselves, end quote. While asserting the moral high ground, many of the response in the thread demanded outright tyranny or yet more censorship as a means of ensuring the quote-unquote good guys have their way. Quote, I would look at Germany and see what they did about Nazis because you're dealing with the same mentality, said another. Re-education camps for those that are salvageable, said another. Firing squad for irredeemable malcontents. Round up entire families to ensure that disease doesn't spread. Cut them off completely. End the flow of false information subtly and immediately, said another, calling for all right-wing news outlets to die. Another respondent called for banning Trump flags. Start by banning Trump flags like we should have done with the Confederate flag. One of our many mistakes and why we failed at Reconstruction. We should not allow a hate symbol to be flown with pride in our democracy. Germany got that one right after World War II, said the socialists. Former Secretary of State John Kerry attended a panel discussion at the World Economic Forum during which he asserted that a Great Reset was urgently needed to stop the rise of populism. Kerry vowed that under a Biden administration, America would rejoin the job-killing Paris Climate Agreement, but that this was not enough. The notion of a reset is more important than ever before, Kerry said. I personally believe we're at the dawn of an extremely exciting time. The former senator made it clear that this quote-unquote reset, which is merely a rebranding of the same New World Order that has faced stiff resistance for the past 2 decades, is necessary to extinguish populism. Quote, I think Europe has to look at that with Brexit and the rising national populism, nationalistic populism, said Kerry, which is really one of the priorities that we all have to address. You can't dismiss it. Speaking about how Trump increased his vote in 2020, Kerry noted, what astounds me is that many people still voted for the level of chaos and breach of law and order and breaking the standards. And I think that the underlying reason is that this is something that everybody has to examine. Yeah. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen also welcomed the prospect of Biden as a friend in the White House to the globalists and said the two entities would work on a new rule book for the digital economy and the digital society. The need for global cooperation and this acceleration of change will both be drivers of the Great Reset. And I see this as an unprecedented opportunity, said von der Leyen. as they have exhaustively documented, the Great Reset is merely the latest incarnation of the agenda to centralize power into the hands of a tiny elite, disenfranchising Americans, lowering their living standards, and forcing them to submit to a social credit score system that will eliminate all privacy and personal autonomy. As they reported, legacy media outlets like the New York Times are still claiming that the Great Reset is a conspiracy theory, even as world leaders openly announce it. I think that'll do it for this odds and ends, because I've got something fairly lengthy right after this. So, 623 out.